It was the best of times yet it was the worst of times. Charles Dickens, what you have done to me. Look where I'm standing right now. Tell me what I'm supposed to do to this position. Are you and your companions are the reason that I am alone in my life today? Or is there something else? Something very different? Something very weird, or something which is unable to understand? I've been reading you since my childhood. I've been reading others too. But look at me now, how helpless I am. She left me saying that I am so full of myself. But how would I let her know that I have devoted all myself on you and writers like you? Let me tell you the whole story. She met me when I was 18 years old, an ideal time to start your love life. But what happens afterwards is nothing but a beautiful geology of time. When she came in my life, I was head over heels in love with her. Things started changing in my life. Everything was changed. Dickens and other writers like him was so dry before her. She gave meaning to everything. I often used to ask her, "What do you do to me?" She used to smile and say, "I have invaded your heart like enchant." Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of one of my fellow beings that I'm telling you in his own language. But before moving forward, I would like to ask you to please subscribe to this channel and press the bell icon for future updates. I was helpless. Her love changed me completely, to the point where nothing in my life was not associated with her. She was my love, and I was so into her that she was the best among all the characteristics. No Ryla, no Belle, no Rapunzel could ever compete her. He was like super duper. You know, we were classmates, and that's the most beautiful thing. I always scored better than her, but it didn't change anything between us, and like convener bookworms, we faced a lot of breakups. Many of them were because of misunderstandings, and others were because we used to take things. So personally, the factory individually never got hurt in our relationship. People used to get jealous of us because when anyone look at us, it feels like we are, you know, made for each other. Her hazel eyes were so unique in a population full of blue and brown eyes. I've observed her eyes closely, and I have seen different patterns in her eyes, as if you are looking at Amazon from the helicopter. We completed our high school and went to same university. We grew up together. I thought this would affect our relationship in many ways. But things happened in a different way. We always give each other enough space for personal grooming. She went for break fast with her, you know, friends and everything. Then she went for basketball and co-curricular activities. But I became a debater and won different competitions at national level. Her physique was more like a cheer-up girl. But God knows what beauty on earth she scatters when she played football. Her pony in the air. You know, her pony banging in the air. Her neck as fine as a duck, and the rest of her body looked like a glass of wine. I was always there to support her in final notches, holding a poster of her name. I remember once her ankle got fractured one day before the final march during practice. She was admitted to the hospital for a day, and that night she kept on weeping. She was putting her head again. My chest and my shirt was soaked in her tears. I knew she's so vulnerable at those times. So I didn't, you know, left her unattended for a moment. After spending that 1 week with her, the relationship between me and her got more stronger. Now, it was confirmed to both of us that we cannot survive without each other. I knew her, every friend and every friend of mine was his friend too. People used to treat us like a component. We both never heard a word against each other. Instead, we made it clear to the other persons not to cross their boundaries, or else they will be the one facing circumstances of this shit. We always stood for each other, and that was the beauty of our relationship. We got graduated, and then we started thinking of a better future together. Our parents were not in the favor of marrying each other because our sex were different. She belonged to a Catholic family. Why I belong to a Protestant family. So the Protestants and Catholics, they cannot live together. This was not a big deal for both of us, as we were not very religious. However, basics of our religion were totally the same. None of us had a problem if we got married in a Protestant church or a Catholic church. This difference was even funnier for us, but our parents took it quite seriously. My mother used to curse her as if she is a Jew. These sectarian problems to serve both of us mentally. It was so difficult for me to persuade my parents that no one take care of such problems in postmodern world. There is a dominance of only one weekend, and that is capitalism. They didn't seem to understand, and I lost my hope after a few months when they saw me losing my interest in everything. They asked me about her. And for a moment, I was in shock. I questioned them that why actually they are asking for her. They replied to my query that we want you to succeed in life and live a life which is full of happiness and peace. I was having second thoughts about it. You know, I didn't believe this for a moment. Instead, I was lost deep in my thoughts that how could this happen? Happiness embraced me after so long, and I was continually doubting it. My parents told me that they want me to marry her. I was in heavens of my very own euphoria. I couldn't believe that, but I controlled my emotions for a while, and I called her to let her know about this marvelous incident that just took place in our lives. So I called her, but she didn't pick up. I thought she must be busy somewhere, but I couldn't wait. I dropped to her home and I find out that she is sleeping. She was looking so adorable while sleeping. So I didn't want to disturb her. Instead, I planned to break this news to her. Tomorrow next day, I woke up and I headed towards her workplace and met her in person. She was shocked to see me, that how I am back after a year of ghosting. I told her that I was not ghosting her, but I was making a pathway for our marriage. She reacted quite coolly, and for a moment, I was in shock. Understood what I was saying after a while, and within a few days we got married. I prepared everything, and everything was pre-planned because I was married to the love of my life. After spending our marriage night and after losing her virginity, she told me that she had lost her interest in me, so that she asked for a divorce. I tried to keep her calm, but she was adamant this was the worst day of my life. I didn't agree on whatever she was saying because to me it was pleated bullshit. She filed a case against me in the law in which she claimed that I forced her to marry her. I was going through the worst of my life. I used to look at the sky and ask, "Great Lord, why mean she won the case?" And I had to sign the divorce paper, and life was very well-known lawyer. I was shocked to see that how she could manage that expense. It made me more stressed because I was thinking that I proved myself so bad that she spent all her expense on the lie to file a case against Ming. Now I tried asking her several times for my mistake, but her answer was saying that she has lost interest in Ming. What could I say to that point? I let her go. But I kept observing everything in her life, but keeping tabs on her social media. After a few days, I came to know that she is going to marry her boss. This news made me devastated, and I cried for so long that dark circles appeared in my eyes. I cursed her for everything. I cursed her for cheating on me, for marrying the boss. Now everything was becoming clear in front of my eyes, and I was able to connect the dots. I got to know that she was the one who supported him in divorce. They spent like winter nights, every minute was equal to a year. Many times they planned for a suicide. But an inevitable fear didn't let me live in peace. After a few days, she came back to me. I was so shocked to see her. Having a look of me, she burst into tears. I comforted her and asked what happened to her, and she told me that I did wrong to you. That's why Faith did wrong to me. I tried choosing my boss over you, and that animal used me like a whore. He divorced me right after we finished sex on our first night. See, that's what I exactly did to you, and now have nothing in my life but continuous misery. I held her tight in my arms and told her that we humans are greedy in nature. We always think for more and more. But we end up as a horrible failure every year falls due to his hammers. And so you are the one. This is a tragedy, but let it end before it gets beyond repair. I will fix everything and anything among us. But promise me that this time you will not leave me alone. She looked in my eyes, and then we kissed so hard that he started appearing on our lips from that point. Started getting better. So you said, right? It was the best times and it was the worst of times.